Okay, this is test 1. Alright guys, so here are going to be your directions for how to do the line and bar graphs for the heart rate graph assignment, which is due in a couple of weeks. So as you can see on my computer right now, I already have open my Excel file. So basically what I'm going to be doing is showing you how to do the graphs with the data that I took for myself last semester. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open your heart rate graph document wherever you have it saved and wait for the Excel file to come up. So when it comes up, you should have what looks like this on your Tuesday assignment page. You should have the date, you should have the assigned exercise, and some record of demand that you've been doing in terms of exercise. So for example, on the very first line, you see that I have the date as September 28th. I did the bike, and I did a steady workout at a level 8 resistance. And then you should also have your 5 heart rates that we've been keeping track of when we do the assigned workouts on our Tuesdays. I did mine as a heart rate during my warm-up, 3 during my actual half an hour workout protocol, and then 1 during my cool down. I know a couple of you guys have done different things, and as long as you've kept it relatively the same through all of your different exercises, you should be absolutely fine. It's not a big deal. But this is what you should see on your Tuesday page. If you click on the Thursday page, you should see this. Now I don't have the dates filled in, you guys will obviously have that, but you should have a record of about 9 or 10 of the free workouts or your free choice workouts. Again, you should see the same thing. You should see exactly what you did and then some record of the demand for the exercise. So again, the first line on mine says that I did the elliptical. I did a steady pace workout at a level 7 resistance. On your Thursdays, instead of having 5 heart rates, you should have 1 recorded heart rate and 1 recorded rating of perceived exertion. Now, when I recorded it, I used the 6 to 20 scale. Like I've mentioned to you guys in class, you're perfectly fine if you've used the 1 to 10. Just as long as the scale that you picked is always consistent, you're absolutely fine. But that should be what your Thursday page looks like. Your class workout page. Now, as of right now, you guys will probably only have 1 workout listed in here, and that should be the strength intervals that we did the week we took our first exam. By the time we complete this assignment, you should have 2 listed there. Now, when I did this with my students in the fall, we did a campus walk first. I'm not sure if we'll actually be able to do that or if we'll be doing a different class workout for our second one. It's going to depend on what Mother Nature decides to do. But at any rate, you should see 2 workouts there, each with 6 heart rates recorded. Okay? So that's the amount of data that you need to complete this assignment. So hopefully that you have that. If you don't, what I would really strongly recommend that you do, especially if you're missing data for your Tuesday, is use one of your Thursday free workouts to make up some of that information. Okay? So to get started, I'm going to start with the Tuesday. So I'm going to click back to my Tuesday assignment page. What you're going to do to actually form the graphs here, okay? You are going to actually go up to the Insert tab, which is located right here, okay? And you're going to click on that, and you're going to come down across here, and you're going to select Line Graph, okay? So that's the type of graph that we're going to be doing for our Tuesday assignment. Before you click that, you're going to use the mouse and you're going to select all of your data. So you're going to start with the first cell that lists the type of exercise that you've done and come all the way over, select all of your heart rates, and then select the remainder of the data. So you should get a highlighted section that looks like this. After you've done that, you're going to come up to where I indicated before, where it says line, and click on it. You're going to pick 2D line graph, and I'd like you guys to pick this one in the bottom left right here that has the markers set on it. So as soon as you click that, your graph is actually going to come up in your Excel page. Okay? After the graph comes up, the first thing that you want to look at is whether or not your x-axis, which is this axis along the bottom of your graph, the horizontal axis, Okay, that should actually should reflect your heart rate recordings. So if you notice on the graph that I have up in the example right now, it actually has the different workouts that I've done. So that is not what you want it to say. Okay, so if this is the case, if when you make your graph it comes up and it's giving you your different workouts on that horizontal axis, you want to flip what you're actually seeing on that. So you're going to come back up to the ribbon. You'll notice that all of your information has changed up here, and there is a little icon right here under data that says switch row/column. If your data looks like mine, you want to click that icon. And what that's going to do for you, you'll now notice that down along this x-axis right here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That reflects all of the different times that I've taken my heart rate. Okay? And you'll now notice that all of my tags right here for my lines each represent a different workout. And that's how you want your graph to appear. You want the data tags to actually reflect one workout. So essentially what you're getting if you look at each line individually is you're looking at your heart rate pattern across that particular workout. By doing the multiple lines together on the same graph as we're doing right now, you're actually able to compare your heart rate response across a number of different workouts. Okay? I'm going to show you another line graph when we do the class workouts. So if you didn't understand any of that, I'm going to go through this whole procedure again. Just hang on a second before you rewind and listen to the whole thing again. At this point, what you want to do is you want to click on chart layouts, which is right up here, up at the tippy top. You want to click on this far left that is highlighted right now icon. And what that's going to do is that is going to allow this little chart title to come up. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to click on that and you're going to type in there your last name. Whoops, if I can get it to actually work. There we go. Dash assigned, because this is the graph for your assigned workouts. Okay, so when you turn it into me, that way I know exactly whose data I'm looking at and I know that this is your assigned workouts. Okay, once you've done that, you also want to come over here. You'll notice on your y-axis it says axis title. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to click on that and you're going to change that so that it says heart rates. Again, if I can actually get it to come up. There we go. And it helps if I can spell. Once you have that done, go ahead and just click on the graph, and what you're going to do is you're going to move it so that it sits underneath your raw data and resize it so that it's big enough that you can actually read it. Just like that. Okay? The thing that you want to double check for most is that your heart rates along this y-axis right here, that the range on that data is about every 20 beats. Okay, so that's about the size that I have mine right now. Okay, that's about the size that you want it to be. So after you've done all of that, you're going to come up over here under File, and what you're going to do is you are going to click Print, and you are going to double check that everything shows up the way it should. Now it doesn't in mine right now, so I'm going to go back to my page, okay, and unclick. I had my graph selected, so the printer thinks that I only want to print my graph. I would like you guys to print all of your data for me. So when I go back to print, it should show up in my print preview box over here, all of my raw data, which is this whole block of information right here that you guys are keeping track of up to this point, as well as the graph that we just created. Okay, so on each individual page, you're going to have a block of raw data plus the graph that you have now made. Okay, so that's Tuesday done. All right, so we're going to go back to our Excel file and we're going to do the second line graph. So you're going to click on class workouts. Okay, and we're going to go through that same exact procedure a second time. Okay, so just to get you guys started off the right way, we are going to highlight our block of raw data like so. You're going to come over and up here to the Insert menu. You're going to come over to Line Graph, click on it, select the 2D line graph with markers, so that second row, far left, and click. Okay? Same thing as we did before. When your graph comes up, you want to look at your x-axis along here, and you want to make sure that those are your heart rate tags. Now this graph came up correctly this time. Okay, so again, you'll notice that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the x-axis. That represents all of my different heart rate data. Okay, and you'll double check that by taking a look right here as to what each line actually represents. So I have 2 lines on this graph. Each line actually represents a separate workout in terms of all 6 of the heart rates that I've taken. Okay, so again, this graph came up correctly. So now, again, we're going to put our chart labels on here. So you're going to come up to your ribbon, and under Chart Layouts, you're going to click this layout on the left so that your chart title and your axis titles appear. This chart, you're going to go ahead and title with your last name. And I can't even spell my name right. Okay, and you're going to title this with Class Workout. Okay, same thing where it says Axis Title, you're going to title this Heart Rate. Okay, resize your graph so that it's large enough to be read. Move it so that it is under your block of raw data. And then go back up to your File menu right here. Okay. Click Print. Double check your preview screen that everything will print on the same page. If for some reason it doesn't, you can change your page orientation right here. Okay, right now I'm in portrait orientation. That's going to print like a standard sheet of paper. If you pay attention to the previous graph that I did, I believe that was set up to print in landscape orientation. All that means is it rotates the paper 90 degrees so that you get the long edge at the top. So for whatever reason, if you want everything to be the same direction, I could click this and again just double check that my block of raw data right here and my graph down here are all printing on the same page. Okay, so those are the 2 line graphs that you have to do. Now we have 2 bar graphs to finish. So we're going to go back to our Excel file, and now we're going to click on our Thursday free workouts. Okay, so this is going to work much the same way, but instead of doing line graphs, we're going to do bar graphs. So very easy. We're going to do the same thing that we've done to start out, just as we did with the line graphs. You're going to highlight and select your raw data. Now for the first bar graph, you're going to select your your free workouts with the demand that you have and just the heart rate. So your block of selected data should look just like that. Okay. At this point, you're going to do the exact same thing as we've done before. You're going to come up to the Insert tab, and you're going to click on it. Instead of going to the line graph, though, you're going to go to Column Graph. Click on Column Graph, and we're going to do a 2D column graph. You're going to click the icon on the far left, a clustered column. Click on this. And just as before, your graph will show up in Excel. And again, you want to double check that your graph comes up correctly. Along the x-axis right here, You want to see exactly what my graph shows you. You want to see each one of your individual workouts labeled on that x-axis. Okay? So now what you're seeing is a bar that represents the one heart rate measurement that you have for each one of those workouts. So now instead of looking at a pattern of heart rates across workouts and being able to compare them, we're looking at one heart rate measurement for all different types of workouts. So for example, if you look at the first two bars, you can see that I did an elliptical workout and I did a stationary bike workout for my first two. And you'll notice that my heart rate on the elliptical is much higher than it was on the stationary bike. Based on what we've talked about and been discussing in class, you would expect that. On a stationary bike, I'm sitting down. Okay, my weight is supported by the machine and my upper body is not actually doing as much work. So therefore, my heart rate will have a lower response because less of me is actually moving. Okay? So again, you'll be able to take a look across all of your different workouts and compare single heart rates and see which exercises are placing a larger demand on your heart and your cardiovascular system and which exercises are placing a smaller demand on your cardiovascular system. Okay? Just like we've done with the previous two graphs, once you get here, you're going to come back up to your ribbon, and under the chart layout, you're going to click that far left icon that's going to allow you to have a chart title. Once you click on that, come on over, retitle your chart, last name. Come on. And this is going to be last name, heart rate. See if that comes up. There we go. Okay. Labeled this way, I know that this is your Thursday workout. Just like we've done with the previous two charts, go ahead, click the corner, resize it a little bit so that it's easily read, center it underneath your raw data, and you're good to go. Okay? Again, I'm going to repeat those instructions because we have one more bar graph to go. Same set of data. What you're going to do here, you're going to click and highlight your actual workout and the demand. Then go to your keyboard, okay? Release your mouse button, go to your keyboard, hold down the control button, and then come over, click and highlight your RPE column. Release everything. So you should end up with two columns of highlighted information that look like it does here. Okay? So in other words, you're just looking at your actual workout that you've completed and your RPE number. Your heart rate data should not be highlighted. So again, to do that, highlight your workout and demand information just as we've done with the previous three graphs. Release the mouse button. On the keyboard, click and hold down your control button. It's in the bottom left-hand corner. And now you'll be able to highlight the RPE column separately. Once you have that done, go back up here to your insert. Click on it. And we're going to do the exact same procedure. You're going to go to your column graph, 2D clustered column. Right here, click on it. Okay? You should have a graph pop up that looks fairly similar to the graph that we just did. However, now instead of looking at heart rate numbers, we're looking at rating of perceived exertion numbers. So again, we're comparing the rating of perceived exertion that you guys have taken during all of your free workouts, and we're actually comparing them. Which exercises did you feel or did your body have the impression were harder than others? So again, looking at my first two columns, the first workout that I did was an elliptical. The second workout that I did was a stationary bike. It felt to my body as though the elliptical workout that I did was harder. I had an RPE of 16 on that workout versus the bike where I was down at a 12 on that 6 to 20 scale. Again, given what we've talked about in class, you would expect that, since the bike, again, is supporting my body weight and my arms have much less motion on the bike than they do on the elliptical trainer. So again, just as we've done with every single other graph that we've made, you're going to come up here under chart layouts and click on the one that allows you to have a chart title. As soon as that comes up, you are going to retitle this with your last name and RPE. Okay, same thing again, resize this. This one you're going to scroll down and you're going to put this as a second chart on the exact same page. Okay, I like to make sure everything is the same size because that's just how my brain works. I like it when it looks pretty. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Especially for this one, double check, make sure that this is going to print on the same page. So go back up to the file menu right here. Click on this, click on print, and double check in your preview screen that you have a block of raw data, that you have your heart rate graph, and that you have your RPE graph. As long as all three of those are printing on the same page, you are good to go. All right, we have one last thing to do for your graph analysis, and then you guys should be good to go. Go back to your Thursday free graph page, okay? And you should see these little lines that Excel will have that are slightly more highlighted than the individual cells. That basically tells you what a page is going to be. So in other words, that's one page on your printer. What you're going to do is, in one of these open cells right here next to your raw data block, you're going to click one of them. It doesn't really matter which one. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to type a little formula in there. What you're going to do is you're going to type equal sign and then the word in all caps, Correl. C-O-R-R-E-L. Okay, and at this point, what you're going to do is then you're going to type the open parentheses. You're going to use your mouse and select all of your heart rate data. Type a comma and a space. Go back to your mouse and select all of your RPE data. Okay, and then close the parentheses. This is a formula. Essentially what's going to happen here is Excel is going to calculate what we call a correlation. A correlation is relating two variables to each other. So what we're asking Excel to do right now is look at how closely your objective or your heart rate, your measured raw data, so we're looking at how closely your objective heart rate numbers match or agree with what your body felt subjectively. Okay, so that would be the RPE number that you guys are looking at. So again, we're asking Excel to tell us how closely are these two numbers related. So once you have that in there, go ahead and just hit enter. Excel will automatically do the calculation for you and you will see a decimal appear in that open cell. Okay, it should always be a decimal. It should be lower than 1. The closer that that number is to 1, the closer those two numbers agree. Okay, so in other words, if you have a number there that says 0.6, that means your numbers agree, but not as strongly as they could. If you notice the number that I have there is 0.977, that means that my numbers agree very, very strongly. Okay, so again, the closer that number is to 1, the more your objective and subjective intensity values are agreeing. So in other words, for me, my objective heart rate agrees very strongly with my subjective or my perceived RPE numbers. Okay? As soon as you get to there, print them all out. Okay? There is some information that you guys will actually have to write. You will also need to do a small written report that should also include your age predicted max heart rate calculations and your cardiovascular exercise range. And I want you guys to actually write a little bit about what you're seeing in this graph. Do your numbers agree with what your heart rate ranges say that they should? You will notice, I've mentioned this in class a couple of times, mine don't. That's totally okay. I've mentioned in class a couple of times that your heart rate numbers, those are predictive formulas. That age predicted max heart rate that we've talked about, that's just a prediction. It's just a guess. But do your numbers actually agree? Are you exercising in the range that you are theoretically supposed to be? If not, that's okay, but give me some idea as to why you think you're not. Okay, are you a coffee drinker? All right, that caffeine can sometimes cause an elevated heart rate. Just things like that. But really take a look at your data and tell me what's going on. Tell me the pattern that you're seeing when you work out. How does your heart rate typically respond to things? Okay, talk about that in your report. Again, I'll probably be talking about reports more in class. Hopefully this was instructive for you guys and you feel more comfortable going through the whole graphing process. This is here and this is up for you, so if you need to watch it more than one time, have at it. And hopefully I wasn't super boring. I will see you guys in class.